recording in a few minutes. All right, cool. So the last time we were here, and I miss y'all by the way, because we didn't meet last week, but I had to go to some meeting last week, so I had to cancel. But the last time that we were here, I think we were building a college list, right? So if you weren't here that week, we did record it. And so all you have to do is go onto our YouTube account. And there's a thing on there that says Senior Prep Building a College List. And if somebody can remind me before we leave, I'll actually drop the link in here so you won't even have to look for it. And so then let me put my earrings on just in case Queen Elizabeth decides she wants to show up to our meetings today, since we got, some VIPs up in here. Make sure my eyebrows are right too. Is that all right? All right.
You are beautiful.
Oh, thank you, darling. So when we talked about building that college list, there's a lot of places that you can build a college list, but there are two main places that you can do that. So the first place that we talked about was in Naviance. And so you guys can go back and watch the video for that. And so you can put together a list based off of your major. And if you don't know what your major is, try to think of your favorite 2 or 3 subjects, right? And then look for colleges and try to find some colleges that have all 3 of those interested topics that you're looking for, right? Then we also, I believe, looked at collegeboard.org. And so I'll share my screen and show you that one on Big Future that you guys can look at, especially if your parent or guardian does not have access to Naviance. So let me pull that out real quick. And then I'll share my screen once I get there. And I'm not going to spend too much time in here because I want to show you something else. And this is a pretty smart group, so y'all can figure it out. All right. So can somebody just unmute myself and let me know that you can see this College Board screen?
We can see.
We can see it.
Awesome. All right. So this is in Big Future on College Board, where you can do a college search. The last time that I was in here randomly the other day, and they actually have a test, a new thing that they're doing is called beta. So anytime you see something that's in what's called beta, BETA, it means that they're testing it out. But I did it on my other computer, so maybe it popped up under my teacher account because I'm not signed in here. But when you guys go in, you can also, this is very similar to Naviance, you can do test scores and selectivity, the type of school that you're looking for, location, housing, all these different things. So you can just click through here and pick something that's important to you. But if you get to a section and it's not really too important to you, like if it doesn't matter if the college is all women, all men, or co-ed, which means it's mixed, then don't check it because it's going to make your list too small. Okay, so we suggested that you do the one on College Board on Big Future and then do the one on Naviance. See which one you feel the most comfortable with and do that one. And then, maybe towards the end of the school year, look to see if Big Future has the new engine out. I did try that search engine and I like that one a bit better than this one. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Again, I'm not going to go into detail because you guys can look at, oh, there it is right there. See, look, the government must be listening to my conversations. So if you sit there for a minute, it should pop up on your screen. I like this one better because you can go by major, by state, by college type, and by size. Okay. So it asks you what you want to study. You can put it in psychology. And then it asks you all these different types of psychology, which that's not good because a lot of you guys don't know what it is. So for right now, we'll just say counseling psychology. And then it'll kind of break down some other schools. And if you want to put in additional filters, then you can put those filters in. So I do like this one a bit better. So just sit it on the screen for a little bit, wait for that to pop up, and then do your search. All right. Okay. So what I want to talk to you guys about, a lot of you guys were not able to come to the summer prep for Rising Seniors program that we had in the fall because you weren't you were like little scrubs, like little sophomores, some freshmen maybe. And so there was some information that we went over about, and I'm going to skip all these slides, about class, putting together your college list. Okay. And this is not the right one. So let me click off of here. I'll keep talking to you guys. I need to find the right one. So do you guys have any questions so far? Y'all gonna be quiet again today? Hold on 1 second. Let me find the right one. I pulled up the wrong slide. So while I'm looking for this slide, when you guys are putting together your college list, you want to make sure that you're not just putting together some items that, you know, somebody else just told you to pick for whatever random reason. You guys just don't want to do that. Because some people may have you go to a school that may look like a good choice for them, but it's not really a good choice for you. Okay. And so, you know, you want to pick some things that are close by. If that's something that you want, if you want to be close to home, you want to pick something that definitely has your major. I can't tell you how many students will pick a college and they don't even have the major and they didn't even know, they didn't even check, you know. So you want to look at things like that. You want to look at one of the things that you really don't want to focus too much on, and some of your parents might get upset about this, but brand name shopping. I think we talked about that a little bit the last time. Just because that school is a big brand name that you know about, it doesn't mean that that's the best school for you. And just because a school, you know, is a school that you may have never heard of before, it doesn't mean that that's not a good choice for you either. Okay. So you want to make sure that you do these searches and really, really, really pay attention. You want to go through these schools and just look at a lot of things. You might want to look at their graduation rate. Okay. How long does it take a student to graduate within 4 to 6 years? Okay. You also want to look at, you know, the freshman return rate. So if you see that the freshman return rate is like less than like 80% or 75%, you know, why are these students not returning to this particular school? You know, so you want to look at some things like that. You want to look at, you know, you want to put a mix of public, private, and a community college on your list. And I'm not locating this document that I want, so I'm just going to pull up the one that I had. I don't know what happened. Maybe this is it. I think this is it. Hope this is it. Nope. We're just going to look at this one. I think I gave you guys the wrong one. All right. All right. So these are some reasons that you should. Well, let's go backwards here. We did this the last time when we talked about our college fit list. We said we want to use this acronym called SLAM. So you want to look at what fits you socially, your location, your academics, and your monetary, meaning your budget. So you guys need to really have some conversations with your parent and your guardian about money. So if you guys, somebody can unmute yourself because I can't see your information in the chat. When you ask your parents about money and how much money you have, what do they usually say to you? You can unmute yourself because I can't see the chat. So either you're not asking your parents, which I would be so scared to ask mine, or you're asking them and they're telling you to mind your business, right? Perhaps. Why are y'all
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I haven't really
Yes,
talked
ma'am.
about it yet.
What'd you say?
I said I haven't really talked about it yet, but what you said kind of sounds right.
Yeah, mind your business, or you don't need to know that, or why do you need to know that, or why are you asking me, or you not, all those different things. But when you guys start looking at these prices of schools, I don't want you to not put a school on your list because it looks like it's too expensive, because you can get some financial aid. And you have until May 1st to make a decision. So all the seniors who are applying right now, they're getting letters from colleges that are pressuring them to drop deposits, but they do have until May 1st to make a decision. But it's very important that you guys talk about money, and that's something that we'll talk about in another session. I'll give you some tools so that you can start looking at some websites and get an idea to see how much money, you can get in loans and grants and scholarships and things like that. But you really need to have a big conversation with your parents about that. And that's something we'll go into more detail on another session. So what schools are on your list and why? So these are the reasons that a college should be on your list, okay? That your grades and your GPA or your grade point average are in the range of last year's class, okay? So when you guys are looking at the literature and it says that, you have to have this GPA or this SAT score, that's not the exact number that you need. There's a range. So if you see my hands here, this is like 100% of the students that they took last year. And then in the middle is the middle 50% of the students that they accepted from that whole range. So in this little cut right here, that's that number that you see on the websites or you see in different booklets or on their view books. So you don't have to have that exact number, but you really want something that hits that number or above. Students that are usually under that number may be under that number for different reasons. It may be that they are good in athletics, and that particular school is looking for a specific student that plays golf or basketball or tennis. And so their grade point average is decent, but it might not be that number, but they need a person that plays that sport in that position. Or it could be somebody whose parent works at the college or a host of other things. All right. You want to make sure that they have your major. You want to make sure that you either have been to visit, done a virtual tour, or had a number of touches with the representative with the admissions counselor. So some of the schools are already open that you can go visit, but they do have a lot of restrictions. And of course, you can do a ton of these virtual tours. I will also suggest to you guys that you also follow these schools on Instagram. If they have a TikTok account, follow them, go on their website and just kind of look through. They do track you just like Google does. So they also will be building a folder on you and recognize that you are very interested in that school. You want to make sure that the campus and class size is a good fit for you. So you don't want to go to this campus and be upset because it's 20,000 students at this college and it's really big. That's something that you need to research. Maybe go visit a campus near you. Even if it's a campus that you have, school that you have no idea of going to, just to visit and just to kind of get a feel for different types of campuses, okay? You want to see if they have any clubs or organizations that you're interested in. And to be honest, when you go on a campus and you walk around, especially when there are people there, you get a certain feeling if it feels like it's the right fit for you. If you're kind of forcing yourself and you're walking around like, I don't really like this, that's not the spot for you. Okay. So make sure when you finally whittle your list down to 6 to 10 or 6 to 12 schools, that every school that you have on your list, you will be comfortable with going to that particular school if you get accepted. Okay. So when you're putting together your college list, you should have like 6 to 12 schools on your list. Okay. And because you guys get fee waivers, you don't have to worry about that. Back in the old days when Dr. Queenan and I went to school, we probably only applied to 1 or 2 schools and you had to pay for every application fee. So we weren't trying to rack up all this money applying to all these different schools. And it wasn't as competitive as it is now. It's very stressful now. So you guys want to put down 1 to 2 reach schools, okay? So these are schools that you know that you fit the criteria by far, okay? And so these are your top choices. I'm sorry. I'm going to go backwards. reach schools. These are your top choices, but you are less likely to be accepted. So let's say the school wants you to have a 3.5 and you have a 3.3, right? Or they want a 4.0 and you have a 3.8. You know, they're looking for a 1500 SAT score, but you might have a 1490 or 1480 test score, right? So it's close, but you know that it's a stretch, but it's not a ridiculous stretch, okay? Then you want 2 to 4 target schools. Those are schools that match your needs, wishes, and you would be happy to attend. So they're looking for a 3.0 and you have a 3.3. They're looking for a 1000 SAT score and you got a 1100. You got a 1200. So on paper, it looks like you should be accepted to that school, but you're just not quite sure. Okay. Then lastly, you want 1 to 3 safety schools. Those have little chance of rejection. So they're looking for a 2.5 minimum and you have a 3.2 because they have this art program there that's phenomenal, right? So you want to have some of those schools on your list. You also want to include a mix of state colleges, private colleges, and a community college. Okay. And my special tip is you also want to make sure that you put at least one private college and one public college that you can commute to, which means that you're not going to stay on campus, that you're going to travel to school. Because what happens a lot here at Norristown and some other schools, they're not going to give you all the aid that you need at some of these schools. And so you have what's called a gap in your financial aid letter that they give you. Okay. I'm not going to go too deep, but basically that gap sometimes is about $10,000 or $15,000. Room and board at a college is around $13,000 to $15,000. So sometimes if you just commute, that right there will make the difference in you being able to attend that school or not. And then maybe the second or third year you can make some changes and maybe you'll be able to stay on campus. Okay. So does anybody have any questions about that? Anybody? And I'll go back here and see if anybody wants to put yourself in the chat or unmute yourself. Let's see what's in here. Any questions? All right. So these are types of colleges, and this is why I didn't want to use this one because there's some corrections that need to go on here. So I'll just tell you what the corrections are. First of all, they're in the wrong order. All right. So you have your public and your state colleges. Okay. So you have Kutztown, Indiana University of Pennsylvania. You have Cheney. You have Westchester, Bloomsburg, Millersville. These are your public and state universities. And so the tuition is supposed to be lower than your private colleges. And also they have a lighter GPA requirement for you. So this should really be 2.3 and up. 2.3, preferably no less than a 2.8 and up. So some of the schools, if you do have a 2.3, 2.5, or a 2.8, what they may do is have you go into what's called a summer bridge program or some type of a summer program so that you can get some extra help before you start. So again, I knew there was some typos on here. This is supposed to be 2.3. Okay. And the average of tuition, room, and board, floats around 23,000, 21,000 at these public colleges. Okay. Now you have what's called your state-related colleges. So these colleges, and if I didn't say this, the public colleges get a lot of money from the state to offset the cost of your tuition. Okay. Your state-related colleges are kind of like a private school, but they do get some money from the state. So there are 4 schools. It's Temple, Penn State, University of Pittsburgh, and Lincoln University. That's what's missing on this slide is Lincoln University. So there are 4 state-related colleges. So those GPA ranges are going to go around 3.0 to 3.5, but they do accept some students that have 2.3s, 2.5s, 2.8s with some exceptions. Okay, some major exceptions. All right, so I hear that there's something in the chat. Let me see what it says. Okay, yeah, we're all talking. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alondra, yeah, it might just be your Wi-Fi. That's okay. All right. So, this tuition and room and board, can go anywhere from 25, and some of these may even go up to 40. So Penn State, remember, there are a number of campuses that you can go to. There's an Abington campus, a Schuylkill campus, and of course the main campus. So you want to take a look at those. And so again, they get some money from the state. Then you have your private colleges, your Drexel, University of Penn, University of Chicago, Arcadia, Ursinus, which is very close by, Cabrini, all of those schools. And so, of course, they will prefer your GPAs to be 3.5 or above, but we do have some schools that are, students that may be getting into some of the smaller or less selective private schools with 2.8s and 2.9s and things of that nature. But this is, if you go and look at some of these bigger ones, that's what they're looking for. And their tuition, room, and board can cost anywhere from between $35,000 to $70,000 a year to stay on campus. Okay. So again, when you see the words, when you see $70,000, I don't want you to say, I'm not going to apply to that school because it looks like it's too expensive. If you meet the GPA requirements and the SAT scores, even though a lot of these schools are still going to be test optional next year, we can look just to make sure that that school is a good fit. Because remember, you're going to be applying to 6 to 12 schools anyway. So what is it going to hurt to keep this school on the list? You never know, how much money that school is going to give you. Okay. So what questions do you guys have so far? So I see something in the chat. Is it cheaper to live off campus? Yes, it is cheaper to live off campus, because when you do live on campus, they're going to charge you for room and board. So room means that's where you stay, and board means that's what you're having to, that's how you eat. That's what you're having to eat. So some students, if you're hearing that they're commuting because in most cases, they're trying to cut their budget. Now, some people may commute because they don't want to stay on campus. They do want to stay at home, or they may have some responsibilities at home. And so they're going to, do that. So that's why I want you guys to put at least one, and there's actually only one public school that you can commute to, and that is Westchester. And that's still about a 45-minute trek. And then at least put one private school on your list that you can commute to. Okay. All right. Please don't put 20 schools on your list. You see these people have 20, 30. I saw something on Instagram the other day. This girl applied to 50 schools. That's just too much, because if you're applying to 50 schools, you're spending a whole lot of time filling out an application, sending off information, emailing somebody back and forth to make sure they have your information. You could be using that extra time working, perfecting your essay, or looking for scholarships. So please, we're not going to stop you, but please don't put any more than 12 schools on your list. Okay. Are schools going to be test optional for 2022? A lot of them still are. And actually, I just signed up for a workshop I'm going to be going to in 2 weeks, just a 2-day workshop. And all they're talking about is test optional stuff, because some of these schools have decided that they're going to go from last year, that they're going to be test optional for 2 years, because some of them have been wanting to do it anyway. They just, they didn't want to be the last ones out. But once all the Ivy League colleges went test optional last year, everybody else felt more comfortable. And actually, there were a number of schools, at least 1,000 schools, that were already test optional or had some kind of a test equivalent. Like Temple's been test optional for a long time, so instead of submitting your test scores, you could do these little short essays for them, and they call them prompts. And so I don't want you to think if the school is test optional, it's not a good school, because again, all the Ivy League schools went test optional last year. But again, and as I say every week, you still want to make sure that you try to take an SAT anyway, because some of the schools, if you do have a good SAT score or an ACT score, they may offer you some extra money. Okay. So there'll be another list out. I'll definitely keep you guys posted with that. Here's a website that you guys can look at, because it keeps a running list of test optional schools. It's called fairtest.org. In fact, I'll just pull it up for you now. I think we may have talked about this before. And let me answer this last question before I go over. Is it true that most schools require that you live on campus the first year? They highly recommend that you live on campus. The only way that you can commute to a school is if you have to live a certain amount of miles or radius to the school. If it's more than 30 minutes, I don't know if it's 30 minutes or 30 miles, then they will not let you commute to the school unless you have a relative or family friend or someone that's going to sign off documentation that you're going to be living with them. But every school, if you choose to stay on campus, they have to offer housing to all freshmen. Okay. So this is fairtest.org. This site has been up for a long time. And so every year colleges are going test optional. So when you scroll to the bottom, and that may have moved. So let's go back to the top here. College admissions, optional list. And so then when you scroll down, all of these schools are the ones that are test optional in the United States. That's a long list, right? And we're only at the C's. So you can put this list in order by state. So let's look at the ones in Pennsylvania. See how many there are? We didn't even get to Pennsylvania yet. All right. So we have Arcadia, which is near you guys. You can commute to Arcadia. Bloomsburg, Bryn Mawr, you can commute there too. Bucknell, that's about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours away. Cabrini, you can commute there. Karn, all these schools. Chestnut Hill College, this is only about 20 minutes from you guys. Delaware Valley, I think you might be able to commute there. I'm not quite sure. DeSales is pretty popular up in the Lehigh Valley. Drexel, that's a good school, right? Everybody talks about that school. So these are all the schools in Pennsylvania that are test optional this year, but most of these were already on the list anyway. All the Penn State campuses. All right, so those are a lot of schools. So just make sure that you hold on to that, and any updates that will happen, it will stay on that list. Okay. So what other questions do you guys have? So somebody says, so I can live on campus in my own apartment. They do have what's called off-campus housing. So sometimes the college, has something to do with the arrangement of that. And then sometimes they'll give you a list of landlords that rent out to the college students, and you and a couple of your friends can get an apartment together. But some of these colleges, they have these suites now, where you have a shared space where maybe you have your own room, but everybody shares the same bathroom and all that kind of stuff. Just be mindful when you guys are going on these college visits, they will show you the nicest dorms on campus. Okay. So don't get it twisted. If they're nicer, what does that mean?
They cost more money.
Right. So if you see somebody with a Tesla, they paid more money for that Tesla than I did for my Honda. Right? So it costs more money. So you may, want to pick that traditional freshman dorm. It might not look as good as the other one, but you may save $1,000.
Did she freeze for y'all too, or is it just me?
Yeah, I think she's frozen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Me too.
Miss Mitchell.
I'm not sure if she can hear us.
right. Thank you guys for sticking around. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can hear you.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
power went out at my house. So that's
Oh,
probably
wow.
because Oprah Winfrey, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama were on their way over here, and so they had to cut off all the electricity to make sure that the Secret
That's
Service.
exactly why.
That's exactly why. Okay, why else would it be off? So what was I talking about? I forgot.
You were talking about room and board.
We were talking about the best dorms, and
Mm-hmm.
you might have to stay in one of those old school, dorms where you live in a room with 2 or 3 people, and you got to go down the hall and go to the shower. But that could be the difference between $500 and $1,000 that you have to pay, for room and board. So those things are going to be important, and you also want to look at, your meal plan. So you have a couple of different meal plans. So on your letter, when they send it to you, they're going to put the most expensive meal plan on there, but you do have some choices. Now, if you greedy, then you need to take the biggest one that they have. But like me, I don't like to eat. See, even Katie, I never ate breakfast in college. So I just had some cereal and I just had some milk in my refrigerator. So when I got hungry, I just ate that. I didn't go to breakfast. So I think I had like the middle meal plan. Okay. So what other questions did you guys have about your college lists? Let me look in the chat. I see some questions in there too. Okay. All right. So that's really all I have, guys. You just want to make sure that, again, don't forget about that college fair that's coming up on the 28th is the NACAC Virtual College Fair. So I'll give you guys the link, virtual college fairs.org. This is the one that I give you guys all the time. There are going to be about 600 colleges at this event. And you want to make sure that you get registered ahead of time. And again, if you start working on that college list, and they also have a search engine on there too. So if you just want to put your major in and put the state in, then you can just do a search of who's there. But again, that could end up being 500 schools or 200 schools or 50 schools. And so to try to weed through them to see which ones you want to go in there ahead of time between now and the 28th so that you can narrow that list down. And pretty much the same colleges go to this fair. They're going to have it every month until May. So if you want to just put together an initial list and then try to split them up, when you go in there, they will give you a list of colleges that will be attending. Also, and if you guys go on my Instagram page, there's a Black College Expo that's coming up on the, what day is it? Hold on. So I won't have to keep guessing here. So there's a Black College Expo that's coming up. I'm just waiting for this thing to stop spinning. If it's not one thing, it is another. Let me get my phone. I think somebody must be coming from space now. This is just everything that can go wrong today is going wrong today. All right. So all right, you guys can see my screen in, right?
Yeah.
That's because I didn't post them yet. Let me go on this other page. Also, you guys, I have another page too. So if you want to follow this page, I put different stuff on this page. All right. So you got the HBCU College Fair. It says it's in California. It's virtual, but it's pretty much going to showcase more West Coast and Midwest colleges. So it's good for you guys to go in there and just kind of get an idea of what they have going on. So just go to blackcollegeexpo.org or .com and you can register. In the beginning of the registration is usually free, but when you get closer to the date, it probably is $5. So I believe it is $5, but it's $5, right? So go in there. I've been to this fair, all of the fairs that they've had, and they've been very, very good. Okay. Then you have the one on the 28th. That's the virtual college fair that I just talked to you about. And they're going to have this fair every month. And then in March, they're also going to have a STEM fair, which is the science, technology, engineering, and math. And then also a virtual visual and performing arts fair. Okay. Then actually, I'm speaking at an event next Thursday night. This is free. The NAACP youth group in another area out in Delaware Valley, they have an event. So you can, I don't have the link here, but you can visit this handle, or you can just do Dr. Miranda if you want to take a screenshot of that. This will eventually get posted on our page. I'm going to post it tomorrow. I posted too much stuff today. So this will get posted on our page tomorrow, or maybe another flyer that looks similar to this, but it doesn't have my picture on it. Okay. And then I'm doing another event this coming Saturday at 12 o'clock. And this is just a college panel, and this is free as well. And it's on YouTube. So you guys need to go back to this original page and go ahead and register for that. So it's going to be me and maybe 3 or 4 other people on the panel just answering college questions. So again, just make sure that you stay on Instagram and pay attention to what's, going on there. Don't see it. Yeah. So the other flyer, when we put it on our site, it'll probably look like this. This is the same one. It just doesn't have my picture on it. So this is a whole week though. So they have a college panel on Monday. So you definitely want to take advantage of that so you can hear from current college students. They're going to have a COVID-19 adjustment panel, which is great because they're going to talk about, these things that you keep asking about, test optional and other stuff, and just keep looking here. So they have things for a whole week. They even have a poster contest, but I think the deadline for that was yesterday. Okay. So that stuff will be going up on our page in the next couple of days. It's just, I don't post as much on that other page as this one. And y'all be talking about me already. So I've already posted my 3 or 4 posts for today. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, I'm not going to be able to hang out afterward today, but 5 minutes because I'm actually supposed to be sitting in another event that started at 12:30. So thank you guys for coming. And I will get in contact with Newman and let you guys know if he's going to come next Tuesday or the Tuesday afterward. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you and see you later.
Thank
Thank
you. Have a good
you.
rest of your
Bye.
day.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.